Welcome back everyone, Marcelo is my name, and this is the Ormonde Jayne Discovery Series Part 2. Now what is this about? Well, it's about discovering fragrances, new fragrances, across the world in real time together. There's two ways to enjoy this media. One, just keep watching this as a normal review. Or two, and this is what I invite you to do, jump on the Ormonde Jayne website, go to the tasting menu and order the atmospheric, floral, and fruity. Use the code NFC10 for a 10% discount. Then when your tasting menu arrives, I would recommend that you boot to this particular production here. This is part 1, and there's a number of storylines that I share there that you want to know that first before you jump across to here. In particular, who is Linda Pilkington? There's one word that she loves to use, which is happenchance. Sometimes she interplays it with happenchance or happenstance. She does have this English accent. She says it like that, and I just cannot help myself. Whenever I say the word, I say it like she would deliver it. Now, what does it mean? The way that I can define happenchance is that it is the universe taking shape, being a part of her life, and it is the spark that sets off this bonfire. But it's her work, it's her creativity, it's her imagination that creates all this incombustible material so that when this happenchance moment happens, boom, that spark hits and the whole thing lights up. She tells of a story in which she was in her store in London. She was, at that stage, Ormonde Jayne was primarily selling candles. A woman came in and said to her, "Could you make a fragrance for me? There's a perfume out there in the marketplace called Sakura, and I hate the thought that it might be discontinued. So could you replicate that for me?" Linda said to this woman, "Well, firstly, why would you want to replicate something that's already in the market, even if it gets discontinued? Wouldn't you want to have something that is unique? What if we used a floral that has never been used before?" Linda mentioned that the lady's eyes lit up, loved the thought of having this unique, rare flower or floral in her fragrance. The lady asked her, "Could you do this? Is this possible?" And in true Linda style, of course, no worries at all. At the time, she had no idea how this would take shape, but in that moment, she said these are her exact words, she felt a sense of energy and electricity run through her, and she knew that this was a good idea, because what if she released perfume with unique fragrance notes that had never been done before? That would set Ormonde Jayne, the brand, apart from everybody else. This began a 2-year journey, a 2-year hunt across the world looking for these unique notes. Now, she was doing this while the store was still operating. So obviously someone was managing the store, and she was now hunting for these particular notes. She mentioned that sometimes she would come back very disheartened. A lot of money was spent, a lot of energy was put into, ultimately, a futile event because nothing was coming back. Until one day, and she tells the story that she was in her store and the man came in asking for some perfume alcohol because he was creating a composition. Now, for those who've seen the movie Rocket Man, there's that one scene where Elton, looking to break into the industry, is in a record company and someone hands him an envelope. And in the movie, the whole thing slows down to capture this moment. It was basically to see whose name was on that envelope, Bernie Taupin. In real life, it would have been bop, boom, thank you for that, and we're gone. But here, the movie slowed things down to show you this was the spark. This was the happenchance moment that now began what we understand Elton John to be, and all the creativity that came out of there. Same thing happened here for Linda. And if this was a movie, first you would see the bell tingling as the door opened, then you would see some footsteps, camera on Linda as she's looking down. Here's the voice, "Excuse me, I wonder if you may have any perfume alcohol." Camera swings around and it's Geza Schoen, the master perfumer, quite renowned, has made incredible fragrances. He had left the major house that he was working with, or perfume house, and was now doing his own thing. This commenced an incredible friendship between the two of them and a collaboration. And Geza was heavily involved, or has been heavily involved, in a number of the fragrance creations within Ormonde Jayne. The first thing that Geza said to Linda when he discovered that she's running around the world trying to find these unique fragrance notes, what if you just reach out to the perfume houses, ask them, what oils do you have that are very low in quantity because the large perfume brands don't use, but a niche house like yours would comfortably use, and get them, and then you can cherry pick what you want. It's like, bing, what an idea. Off she went, sent that information through, and she tells the story of this fax coming in, and she's looking at this thing, again, mental picture of this movie of this fax coming through, and then she's saying that yes, 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 all these different notes that she could create a fragrance. Two of those are right here. One is Osmanthus, the other is Champaca, and I'll tell you more about that shortly. In multiple meetings that I've had with Linda, she actually says pretty much the same thing, and that is, follow your heart, stay true to what you love. In listening to Linda's journey, that's been her guiding light, that something may look hard or complicated, but if she feels that that's the direction, she puts energy and effort and power into that thing, and then, boom, that happen chance moment occurs and it all begins to unfold so beautifully. Now, if you do happen to have your tasting menu before you, I'd recommend that you put the fragrances that we're about to talk about in the following order. First, we're going to do Levant, then Sakura, then Osmanthus, followed by Champaca, then Verano, and Intensivo will be the very last one. Now on the fragrance wheel, these next three fall under florals, but I'd love you to experience how different they are from one another. Yes, there are floral fragrance, but there are some in here that comfortably can be either masculine leaning or even feminine leaning, regardless of the florals that are in them. The first one is Levant, and I'd love you to grab that because this is easy, a masculine, feminine, and anybody fragrance. Anybody who loves perfumery, then I'd recommend to you Levant. I think this is one of the, smell that. Smell that. If you have that in front of you, it's glorious on its first opening. I've said this before, I feel like this is sunshine in a bottle. The moment you spray, it just emerges with this sense of happiness. It's a mood changer, it's a mood enhancer. If you're having a difficult day or a little bit like you got some big things ahead, Levant is the fragrance that will give you that boost. In Spanish, we use the word levantar, which means to get up or to lift up. And this is what I think this fragrance is all about. Levant is about uplifting. It's about, giving you that energy, invigorating you. And its scent profile does exactly that. What are you getting on that opening? What's your impression of it? I love that there is a blend of these gorgeous citruses and citruses that are a little bit different. I'd love you to smell your card. If you can, I would recommend you put it on skin. So I've got it here as a dry down. On the opening, you'll find these beautiful bright citrus notes. It is supported with that rose, but it's very gentle. It's a very deft rose touch as it moves through. It does go to Mediterranean florals, things like orange blossom and jasmine. Gives us beautiful, it doesn't come in dolly, so it's not this white floral heady. It's almost like you are on a cliff. You're seeing the ocean before you. There's a number of different florals in this landscape with you. So you're getting a mixture of all these elements. Then when it dries down, it does go to a floral musk place. And this is where I am right now. That musk element is coming through, but I'm still getting that orange blossom, a touch of that citrus from the beginning. And imagine the real, I feel that I do get that rose touch coming through on the fragrance. It's a fragrance of happiness. It's a fragrance that will bring sunshine into your life. I know that sounds very extreme, but it changes your mood. The olfactory nature of the fragrance makes you, like the name, levantar, it uplifts you, it invigorates you. I find that I get a comfortable 8 hours from this fragrance, and its sea agent projection falls into a very confident, moderate. People around me are detecting the fragrance. Before I started, Sandra, my wife, was here. She detected this instantly, and she just gives me this I love that fragrance. And basically it's time that you return this back to the house. It's been here at the office for a bit. One that I would strongly recommend, and one that I would love for you to test on skin. Where it starts and where it ends are two different places. The next one, Sakura, cherry blossom. How did this come about? Linda tells a story that for her birthday, Geza gave her a little gift. It was this accord that he created and called it Sweet Linda. It was something that she mentioned was beautiful. There was a delicate nature to it. And for a number of years, she tried to see how she could incorporate this accord, Sweet Linda, into a fragrance. but always, it wasn't quite right. Nothing was quite fitting. One day, she mentioned that she was walking through Regent Park. It was during the cherry blossom season. And she was lost in thoughts and looking around at the beauty, these beautiful pink petals everywhere, when all of a sudden she thought, oh, this could be my sweet Linda. And she thought, I wonder if there is a cherry blossom fragrance note. Is there an ingredient that I can incorporate to celebrate this Sakura season? In her inquiry to one of the oil houses, she asked, do you have something that's connected to cherry blossom? They mentioned that they have the petal. Very bitter though. She said, send it to me because that would be amazing to include it in this new release. Sakura is all about the celebration of this transient time. Sakura is about these beautiful cherry blossoms that emerge, that they create such beauty, but in a very short time they fade away and these petals start to fall away. And I guess it reminds us that life is transient, that what we have today isn't necessarily what will happen. I guess enjoy the moment, essentially, is what the storyline is. And this is what Linda wanted to celebrate here. What I personally love about this is that it breaks all cliche. You look at the bottle, you think it's a very feminine leaning fragrance. I mean, this gorgeous little pink bottle here. And secondly, Sakura makes you think, well, cherry blossom, so therefore really exaggerated with that cherry scent. I've smelled some other cherry blossom fragrances and they are a little bit over the top with that cherry note, but not here. If you have it, I'd love you to spray the card first, and then I'd love you to spray it on skin. You can wash it off if you don't enjoy it, but the difference between card and skin are worlds apart. What are you getting on that card? Is it what you think you were going to experience? Sakura, you think, yes, it's going to be a very cherry forward fragrance. Instead, well, this is what I get, a very creamy, slightly almondy sensation to the fragrance. Tinges of that cherry, very gentle. Listed in the notes is no cherry note, but I believe that there is this slightly bitter almond that's coming through, and that almond note is creating equal part the creaminess of the fragrance and also giving you the sensation of the cherry. Now on skin. Actually, I'm in the dry down here, and so I'll remind myself of what that is like. But I find that the opening of this fragrance and where it lands in the end, two different places. On skin, you're getting more of that fruity element, the cherryness of the fragrance coming forward. Again, no cherry, or none that is listed actually in the notes. But yet, to my nose, I do get a fruity vibrance to the actual fragrance itself. On that opening, there are notes like lime and pink pepper. And I think that this is giving it that vibrance, that brightness, but also that fruit-like quality to it. I do love the evolution of this fragrance. On opening, you're getting this wonderful peppery citrus feel to the fragrance. A little bit of that bitterness coming through from the almond. The fruit notes are definitely present there as it moves through. It goes to this creamy floral, and that's now the almonds taking full shape. There are these wonderful creamy floral notes that are emerging, and then finally when it dries down, it does go to a floral musk. This is, believe it or not, boys and ladies, a confident maker. This one here, there is a quiet sense of reassurance to the fragrance. I've worn it a few times now. Again, a pink bottle with its color design, you think the man won't necessarily gravitate to it. I love wearing it. This is one that I love to go to meetings with. This is one that I will go to an event with. Recently, I caught up with my sister and my cousin. As Latinos, we always hug each other. It's what we do. As I hugged my sister, I did spray in the back of my neck. She's like, wow, beautiful fragrance. I'm like, what are you detecting? And as I asked that question, my cousin was like, yeah, I can smell it. It's a beautiful fragrance. As you walked up to me, I could smell this beautiful perfume. So I'm like, okay, well, what are you guys detecting? So my sister, clean, ozonic, this floral nature to it, but it has this ozonic edge. My cousin instead was saying it has this floral creaminess to it. The fragrance is complex. There's a lot of things happening here. Sakura gives me a comfortable 6 hours on skin. People around me are definitely detecting it. Truth is, I'm getting 8+, so I am smelling it for a lot longer. And then when it comes to its sea edge and projection, I get a very confident moderate. As I mentioned, my cousin was about 1.5 meters, 2 meters apart, and could comfortably smell my fragrance. Boom. Now the next one is another floral that falls in the wheel. This time around, it's Osmanthus. This is part of the early collection that Linda released with her unique florals. At the time, Osmanthus was not used as a fragrance note. Linda mentioned that when she first received the sample of this, it was this yellow, gooey looking oil. She mentioned that when she opened it and smelled it, it was highly animalic. It had this deep hay-like quality to it. She mentioned, and she did it like this, she mentioned that she had to stretch out the note to begin to create its nuance. I too have had an opportunity to actually smell the raw note of Osmanthus. And one thing that I found with it is that it does have these 3 parts. One part, it has this very animalic, very almost a deep dirtiness to it, but it also has this floral element. And the final part, which is most celebrated, is this apricot tea-like quality to it. So Osmanthus, one perfumer once told me, is a chameleon when it comes to perfumery. But here, Linda actually released this for the first time. Up until now, Osmanthus was never used within perfumery. What are you getting? Knowing that Osmanthus has that chameleon-like quality to be 3 different things, what are you getting from here? I feel like I get all 3 at different times. There are moments that I smell and it has this light animalic, sort of musky, like an animal, actually I can smell the skin of an animal or the fur of an animal. But then I get this hay-like quality to it, this earthiness. Then these florals seem to produce themselves. And then in the background, I do get a slight apricot touch to it. That's on card. On skin, it does something else. If you love fragrances that are clean, that have an ozonic nature to it, that are quiet statement makers, they're not these massive room fillers, but the moment someone comes to you and they're like, whoa, what are you wearing? What exactly is that? I find that Osmanthus is the one. And on skin, now I get like that peppery, hay-like earthiness. The best way that I can define or explain how this fragrance is imagine you're in a field. It is springtime, flowers all around you. The color is yellow, and I think it matches the color of the actual juice itself. There is a mixture of greenery also, trees or maybe other plants, but there is a sense of a spring-like feel. So it's still early in the day, say 10, 11 o'clock. Sun hasn't really kicked in, and the air smells fresh and clean, but intermingled with that is the earth, the field, these florals, the greenery. It's all of these pieces all come together when it comes to the scent profile that I get from Osmanthus. When this fragrance opens up, I get an ethereal tea feeling to the fragrance. Now I realize that sounds like a cute little made-up word, but I did think, how do I define this opening? Because it's not citrus, and it's not floral, and it's not green. There is a tea-like quality to it, so you're getting this fragrant nature, but the ethereal is this landscape. As I mentioned, this field that you're in, the sky, the air, all these pieces are all coming together in that opening. It's like it transports you to this place as it moves through. It does go to a wonderful floral green place, and finally it settles in a clean green. So it always stays with this green touch to the fragrance, but it moves through these different phases. And I find that the 3 parts of the Osmanthus, whether it's the animalic, the floral, and the apricot, are all interplaying throughout the journey of the fragrance. I'm in that floral, ethereal, a touch of fruit. And when you try to sort of, what is it? It's that apricot. For those who have the tasting menu and you've had a chance to smell, what are your thoughts? Feminine? Masculine? Well, actually, it's not really masculine, but unisex? Do you feel like that a man and a woman can actually wear this fragrance? It does sort of lean a touch on the feminine side, and I think it's that apricot touch that it has, primarily on the opening, but as it dries down, it does go to that clean green sort of sensation that now a man can comfortably wear. This is one, and if you can see from the bottle, we as a family all love to wear. So my wife Sandra very much enjoys Osmanthus, and us boys are very much enjoying it too. So my take on it is that this is something that comfortably can be worn by a man or a woman. The next one is Champaca. And that early story that I told you of this woman coming in, unique fragrance note, Linda never told me what was, I mean, did she ever deliver this perfume to this woman? But for me, it's always Champaca. And true or not true, I don't know. But as Linda told the story, and I knew that Champaca was one of those unique notes that she had created, I'd love you to spray, by the way. This is the one that, for me, is that was delivered to this woman. So Champaca is magnolia. It's a magnolia that's found in India. It's quite a smaller flower. The reason why it wasn't used so heavily early on is because it takes a lot of work to extract, I mean, kilos and kilos for a little bit of oil. So the larger perfume houses were using Champaca, but in very small dosage. Linda was the first person to actually center Champaca as the crowning note in the fragrance. And the experience is divine. It's interesting that in 2002, Linda released the first fragrance, which was Ormonde Woman, and that included a unique note, which was hemlock, never been done before. The second fragrance that she released was Champaca, also in 2002, using this unique magnolia that it also had never been done before. Now, magnolia is one of those fragrance notes that is quite heavily used across perfumery. You find that the magnolia has a creamy, floral, spring-like sensation to it, whereas Champaca, and it's not what you're getting now, but Champaca has a spicy, honeyed-like sensation. There is a creaminess in there too, but it's a lot deeper, a lot more amberesque is a word that Linda loves using, so a lot more amberesque in its profile. It's beautiful on card. It is beautiful on card, but if you could please, spray on skin, because, I'm gonna put it this side. Here's one that is gorgeous on a woman, just divine on a woman, but a man can easily wear this. The opening notes are a little bit too floral. So for any men who are uncomfortable with deep florals in their fragrance, this is something that will, I guess, challenge you a little bit. But let it sit, let it sit. Right now, you're in this sweet, floral, magnolia-like place, slightly honeyed. But when it dries down, it goes to this beautiful floral, deep sensation. It has a warmth. It's like this internal heater when it comes to its presence. On Sandra loves this particular fragrance. It smells amazing, but I have been wearing this. So of an evening, if I go out, if we're going out for dinner or anything of that nature, it's been very cold here in Melbourne. And Champaca on me, it smells divine, different to what it smells on Sandra. The way that this fragrance evolves and moves is divine. And where it begins and where it ends are two different places. On opening, I do get a radiant white sensation to the fragrance. There is more of a sparkle. I almost feel that it has a magnolia touch. The florals are coming through, but it has this beautiful brightness. There is neroli, there is a pink pepper note in there, and I feel like these two particular notes are really creating this wonderful, inviting fragrance. As it moves through, it does go to a much more warmer place. These warm florals finally settles on a warm amber. In the heart of it is that Champaca note. As I mentioned earlier, the Champaca has that creamy, spicy, almost honeyed-like quality to it. The fragrance has been supported with basmati rice. Now, I don't get a very clear food-like quality to it, so there's no gourmand nature, but as the fragrance dries down, you are getting this nutty warmth from it. The reason why Linda wanted to include a basmati note is that she mentioned that as she was researching, this is one of the fragrances she's found when she was researching around the world, she came across Champaca in India. And she mentioned that wherever she saw the Champaca tree or when she was with the growers, that she could smell the cooking of this basmati rice in the background and wanted to incorporate that in the fragrance as a bit of a, I guess, a nod to her travels. I love these little touches that Linda adds to her collection. This is a true niche brand driven by creativity and passion rather than just, let's look at a spreadsheet and let's add these things because this is what's selling right now. If you're a man, I would again encourage you to put this on skin. You're going to be surprised. So put aside the fact that it's a floral note or that it's a white floral like a magnolia type of flower. Put it on skin. You're going to be surprised at how beautiful this fragrance works on a man. As a woman, I just insist, if you have it in front of you, strongly recommend put it on skin. This is magical. This is one that Sandra loves to wear. I found that Champaca has a comfortable 6 hours. On me, I'm getting 6 to 8 comfortably. I can still smell it on me. When Sandra's wearing it, I get it at the beginning in the sense of 2 or 3 hours in, then it does become a body scent. So it starts off as a moderate and then it comes down into more of a low projection around you. If you have the tasting menu before you and you have had a chance to spray it on skin, I want you to make some comparisons. So firstly, actually, spray first, wait at least 20 minutes if you haven't sprayed it on skin already, and then come back to the video. If you have sprayed, then I'd love you to do the following. Have a smell of Champaca first. And what do you get? I get this wonderful honeyed-like, almost hay magnolia flower that I can detect. I am getting a amber-esque feeling to it. There's this beautiful amber touch. As I mentioned before, Champaca is easy, a fragrance that a man can wear once it is dried down. Early on, it does have a little bit more of that white floral, a bit more punch when it comes to the flowers. But as it dries down, it becomes beautifully warm on skin. I'd love you now to move to Osmanthus and have a look at the difference on this one. It's vibrant and green-like. There is that apricot tinge coming through. There is more of a bounce in your feet. There's more of an effervescent nature to the fragrance. It's a beautiful sunny day. It's just vibrant around you. Whereas Champaca, it's a bit warmer. There, actually, as you bounce between the two, and again, that honey-like element of it, it does come forward a lot more when I compare it to Osmanthus. And now, Sakura. I almost get like a spicy element to it. I get that cherry blossom or the cherry nature to it, the almond bitterness, the creaminess. I just like, my brain goes, but don't forget the creaminess that's coming through. 3 fragrances, they are leaning into florals, but easy, a man can wear. The next one, this is built for a man. This is Verano. Early on, Linda released a series called Montebaco. It became a huge, huge hit. And it was really about celebrating the tobacco note. She spent a lot of time in Argentina. She actually had a retail store in Buenos Aires. And she wanted to celebrate that landscape. She came out with what was Montebaco Verano as a limited edition. She mentioned that she had a number of people coming into the store and saying, I don't know what it's called, but do you have the blue bottle? I want to buy the blue bottle. She had this happen a number of times and as a result realized she had a hit on her hands and it would be unwise for her to make this just a limited release and actually create the actual line. She dropped the Montebaco side of the name of it and called it now Verano. And this is gorgeous for a man. I'd be curious to know if there's any women out there, would you be wearing Verano? Now, the word Verano, again, based that it's around South America, Argentina, means summer. The Verano that's in my mind, and again, knowing that Linda lived in Buenos Aires, is not a summer that is a tropical or heavy sweat or anything like that nature. In fact, it's a very sophisticated, cosmopolitan summer landscape. Buenos Aires is regarded as the Paris of South America. For those who've had a chance to visit, you'll find that the architecture, the building, the cosmopolitan nature of the actual city is very vibrant, very similar, or they mirrored themselves on that Paris sort of feel back in the days of Evita and Perón and all that sort of thing. How do I know this? I'm Argentinian. My parents come from Buenos Aires. And here I feel that this is what Linda was trying to capture. This cosmopolitan summer landscape, really well dressed, looking very sharp, sunglasses on. I get like a 50s vibe. Actually, have a look at this photo. This is my father and my mother. They were visiting Buenos Aires, and I love the way he's pointing at camera like he's some swag dog. But this is Verano. That is the Verano that I can imagine. If you happen to have it, I would love you to spray. This is the fragrance that I'm wearing for today. And guess what, Bob? Oof, yes please. 2 sprays. I've been enjoying this all day. The fragrance as I move around pops and moves and re-emerges. I love the opening. It's a grapefruit note. There's a number of grapefruit, masculine leaning fragrances on the market. I find that this one here is done a little bit different. There is a dryness in the actual profile. Unlike some of the others that may be a bit juicy or they're tart and, you know, scratchy, this one here has this mixture of this green and the spiciness, and it's done with a combination of the cardamom and the clary sage. So you're getting this herbal nature to the fragrance mixed in with that bit of green, and it creates a whole new scent profile to it. I do love the way this fragrance moves and evolves. You get this beautiful citrus green sensation to the fragrance when it opens up, that blend between that grapefruit and the clary sage, that cardamom. As it moves through, it goes to these ozonic woods, and I'll come back to that. And finally, when it dries down, it goes to this wonderful spicy earth. I find that those earlier notes that are in the fragrance, the cardamom, things of that nature, as it begins to dry down, I'm still retaining portions of that, in particular, that grapefruit note. Ozonic woods. It took me some time also to unbox that, because as the fragrance sort of comes away from that grapefruit and that beautiful, bright, citrusy green sensation, it went to this clean air place. We have got an area here in Australia called the Great Ocean Road, and it has a mixture of scent in the air. One is you're next to the ocean. You get this beautiful sea breeze, and it's dramatic crashing waves. There are these 12 apostles, as they're called. It's a beautiful area to visit. But one thing about it is that the air smells different. There is a cleanness because behind you, there are the hinterlands, or this beautiful rainforest. So you get this blend between this salty air, ozonic nature, but also this hinterland rainforest air, and there's a unique scent profile, and this is what I'm getting. I get this clean air, saltiness, but also briskness at the same time of these woods beginning to emerge, and of course that tobacco note, that tobacco leaf where it all started with the Mont Tobacco range is actually included in here, and you can get that like a hay-like quality to the fragrance. Unfortunately, I've sprayed again now, so I'm away from that dry down. Oh, but it's so beautiful. It's gorgeous. When it does dry down, you do get you retain that spiciness from the fragrance, and you're getting now that earthy-like quality. As a masculine, beautifully well-suited fragrance, fantastic. As a masculine, easy going out, clean the roof, clean the gutters, mow the lawn, fantastic. As a masculine, I'm gonna go out and play some sport and just chill, fantastic. Again, any women who might have this tasting menu, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Is this a fragrance that you feel like you could also wear? But as a boy, no problems at all. I get a comfortable 8 hours without a problem, and it's a very confident moderate. This fragrance, everybody around me is detecting. It stays on me really well. Fantastic as a day fragrance, awesome as an evening fragrance, and something that is super versatile. I feel like I've now done a full circle, because the final fragrance, Chi Intensivo, it's also pronounced Chi, is all about the breath of life, or this unseen energy, the happen chance that I started my conversation with when it comes to Linda, this universe that flows, this energy that sort of moves us around. This is something that Linda has tried to capture via olfactory. It's about creating harmony with our mind, our soul, our body through this beautiful scent profile. This celebrates tea and all the different tea ceremonies and tea practices from around the world. So if you love a tea-scented fragrance, and I know this is a big call, I think this is the best one that is out there. I've smelt a few, and I won't name them because they're all beautiful, but if I line them up and I could choose one to take on a deserted island, it would be Chi Intensivo. This one here, it has the perfect alignment with the painting that it's trying to paint. If you do happen to have it, I just sprayed on card, but this fragrance deserves to be sprayed on skin. And on that opening, it's just gorgeous. And I mentioned before, it quickly just makes you happy. It's one of those fragrances similar to Levant. The moment that is in the air, you're like, bop, or you feel happy, instantly your mood is changed, it's invigorated. And I find that Chi Intensivo does the same thing. I love that the fragrance is really, as I said, a celebration of all things tea. And it grabs all these different tea elements and to incorporate into the fragrance. One thing that I get very quickly is this fragrant Earl Grey sensation to it. There is like a lemon zest on that opening, but blended in with this fragrant black tea note. As it begins to emerge and move, you also getting like this Osmanthus tea. So that apricot, the very light, fragrant nature. You also get a yerba mate. When it finally dries down, you're getting a very earthy, herbal nature to the fragrance. And then I also get like a matcha, like a green tea, slightly bitter. The evolution of this fragrance is glorious. If you love tea-scented fragrance, this is a joy of happiness. It opens up with this burst of citrus. That lemon zest comes through. Then it follows to this fragrant tea place. And as I mentioned, you're getting all these different facets at different time. Finally, it goes to a delicate earth. There is an earthiness to it, but it's never any like a vetiver or anything smoky or anything heavy. There's always a fragrant lightness to the actual fragrance itself. The name of the fragrance is Chi Intensivo. Intensivo, what does that mean? Linda, I asked her the question, mentioned that all the Intensivos within her range are poured at 42% oils, which means that the alcohol here is less. Sometimes there's a misunderstanding that the more oils there are in a fragrance, the more like boom, this massive explosion that will occur the moment you spray. The reality is the alcohol is the booster. That's what the oil uses to amplify its scent profile. So the higher the oil, or the less alcohol, it means that the fragrance has more complexity. There are greater oils that sit on your skin, which allows for all this different evolution and different movement. It also means that the fragrance stays on you for way, way longer. What I love about Chi Intensivo is the evolution. It's all these different facets that I mentioned. Sometimes you do get that Earl Grey fragrant nature. Then, like 2 minutes later, you're getting this apricot, osmanthus-like quality to it. Then you're getting this earthiness from the yerba mate, then a bitterness. It does have all these different balances. It's quite impressive. If you want to know more about the breath of life and this flow of energy, I created this production here. I went into a lot more detail about my belief. I do believe in this energy and this flow that happens in the universe. I do believe that it's a real thing, and I talk about it here in more detail. For now, the fragrance is something quite magical and something quite unique. And again, if you love tea-scented fragrances, I'd recommend you test it out. I'd love you to compare some of these fragrances because the difference between these are quite remarkable. And if I take Chi Intensivo and Osmanthus, which is a full celebration of that Osmanthus note, and compare these two together, you'll see that they are very unique beasts. So firstly, Osmanthus. If you happen to have that, what are you detecting now? For me, again, as I mentioned, this is now about probably an hour deep. I am getting that fruitiness from it, but it's not overtly apricot. There is a fruity touch, but I'm getting more the hay, honey, sort of earthy-like quality to it. Clean green, I think I mentioned, and that's what I get. And then Chi Intensivo, and it's something different. I get that very black tea, fragrant nature, then that slight bitterness, and now compare to Verano. And it's absolutely gorgeous. I just find that it's so vibrant and so brisk, and you know, you can feel the muscles and little veins popping on this particular fragrance. The sensation of that spicy earth coming through is just divine. Boom, 6 gorgeous fragrances from this tasting menus. Have you had a chance to experience them yourself? What are your thoughts on them? Which ones pinged for you if you did experience this alongside me? The last thing that I want to say is asking the question of Linda, when it comes to the fragrances, the new ones that you're releasing, is this done by a committee? Do you have like a research development team that actually do this, or are you still heavily involved? It's almost like I threw a viper onto her lap because she sprung and she's like, no, I'm still heavily involved. Everything that you see, every creation that comes out, I am directly involved with this. I have smelled the fragrance, and it's me that approves these before they go out to market. So this is a true niche house. Linda is not autopiloting the creation. She's still very heavily involved. And as she said to me in the beginning, you have to follow your heart. You have to do what you love best. And this is what she loves best. Thank you, everyone. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you guys all on the next episode.